Musicless.io. Music licensing reimagined.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Good morning. I hope you had a peaceful weekend. I hope you are ready for the morning version of our actual news. And a lot of things did happen this weekend. So, first things first, we're going to dive in into everything that did happen in Paris, that did happen in DC yesterday, that also happened in Syria, in Romania, and Ukraine. So, this is our menu for this morning to inform you about the actual facts. And then I let you build your opinion, and then we dive into certain matters tonight with a longer live stream tonight, per usual, with the PM actual news. Let's check out the messages. Lisa, good morning. Good morning. Bonjour. Okay, so Lisa attended the first public mass at the Notre Dame. She's attending it, and it starts in 2 hours. I'm listening to Olga live. I'm in the shower. Okay, well, hello. We're getting intimate. I'm in your shower now. This is wonderful. Hollywood of Ohio. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Callie. Good morning. Enjoy the day, Lisa. Yes. Good morning. Good morning. Kelly was away on business, so missed the news since Wednesday. Okay, you catching up. All good. Good morning, Rosie Marie. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm trying to read off the screen today because I'm so sick of seeing my forehead when I'm looking down and reading. So if I'm, getting rid of it, like give you a bit of a side eye, that's not a side eye. I'm just trying to read my stuff here. So first things first. No, I'm not talking about Notre Dame. I'm not talking about Trump. Let's talk about the 47th Kennedy Honors Awards, right? So the 47th Honors, moderated by Queen Latifah, were hosted yesterday in Washington, D.C. And yes, First Lady Jill Biden made it just in time to attend it with President Biden, where they received a standing ovation to begin with. Of course, the Vice President Harris was there, looking beautiful, also receiving a standing ovation. Okay. It was a gorgeous celebration. Here's, by the way, the list of honorees. And this will be the Kennedy Center honors will be broadcast on CBS on Sunday, December 22nd at 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central. So it wasn't live, it wasn't live streamed, and you see all the wonderful honorees and performers. And before that, they were hosted by President Biden at the White House. They had a special ceremony where he recognized and thanked every single recipient of the award. And so this was a very sort of heartwarming, also tradition, but also a ceremony. All right. Next thing, President Biden has a sort of busy schedule for Monday and Tuesday. And so today in the afternoon, him and Vice President Harris will be delivering remarks at the Tribal Nations Summit. They also will announce an opening of a school. And about that, I'm going to tell you more at night or during our PM actual news, because I don't want to release or talk about the details before they do announce it. If that makes sense. And then in the evening, President and First Lady will host a holiday ball for members of Congress. So this will be in the East Room at the White House, which is beautifully decorated this time of the year. And then on Tuesday in the morning, President will deliver remarks on the middle out, bottom up economic playbook at the Brookings Institution. And so this is the speech that White House Speaker Karine Jean-Pierre promised us to that he will deliver on Tuesday, and so this will be tomorrow morning. And then in the evening, President will deliver remarks at a Christmas for All dinner in celebration of unity, America, and Special Olympics. And so again, this will be in DC. Then nothing is on the schedule until Friday. Well, officially, nothing is on the schedule. And then Friday, he's going to attend a virtual G7 meeting. And so on that, I will report in detail as we go. And so, yes, let's talk about Paris. Let's talk about Notre Dame. We're not as lucky as Lisa to attend the first Mass, but we did see, probably we saw more than what we paid for, in terms of guests and meetings and side eyes and whatnot. So I'm going to guide you through it. So first things first. Yes, President-elect Trump was there. He was invited by by President Emmanuel Macron of France. Why? Because he wanted to moderate a meeting between Trump and Zelensky. He wanted to speak some sort of sense or talk sense into Trump, right? And he wanted to see Trump alone, without Musk, without any supporters, without anybody in his ear. Hence, he also did not invite the German Chancellor Scholz. Scholz is very sort of anti-providing Ukraine with wide-range missiles and whatnot. So that was the intention of Macron. Now, whether it was good or bad, you guys decide, and I will keep my opinion to myself. But I'm just explaining what did happen. What stood out? Well, first of all, Trump had to bring up his signature move by shaking Macron's hand in a weird way. So take a look. Yeah. Hollywood of Ohio says, Olga, it sounds like a curse word hearing you say president-elect, and it was bad in my opinion. Yeah, well, we are where we are. So if you thought this handshake was weird, he also had a hella weird handshake with Prince William, who was there also and met with him before the ceremony. Take a look.
Nice good. He's a good man, that's why. Hello, everybody. He's doing a fantastic job.
Somebody is out of place, like somebody at a China shop. That's my impression. And then, yes, the meeting happened between Zelensky, Macron, and Trump. Take a look.
Thank you so much.
Mr. President, I would like to see you. Nice to see you. How are you?
Yeah.
So, good morning, Brandon, by the way. Good morning. And so, yes, Zelensky released press release stating that he was very happy that the meeting happened, that he tried to make a point to Trump that Russia is weak. And so there is the time to push Putin to negotiate and certainly provide Ukraine with necessary aid. Again, we have heard from Trump. We have heard from his team that they are opposing Ukraine's idea to join NATO for at least 20 years. They want to freeze the conflict, which only will benefit Putin. Okay, so then let's talk about some pictures. Yes, First Lady Jill Biden was there. A true pleasure to see. And certainly we know that they're very, friendly with Macron's. And so Jill Biden was there with her daughter and President Biden's daughter, Ashley, as you see there, looking gorgeous, bringing the class to the mass. And the Macrons, right? Then they were seated. I kind of called it out. So it was Macron and then Trump, then Brigitte Macron and the First Lady of France, and then Dr. Biden and Ashley. So what did happen with Musk? Musk marched in, right? Whoops, wrong. Where do I have Musk? So Musk is marching in. And then he is approaching Trump because he wants to sit right next to Trump on Trump's left-hand side, which was actually saved for Macron, as you see here. So Musk tried to sit in Macron's place, even though all the seats were marked, as you see here. Every single seat was marked, and it said President of France. So as Musk tried to sit down, Trump called him out and said, no, it's not your seat, boy. Go back. And so then Musk was red in his face and walked and sat in some third or fourth row, which you can see here. Where do I have it? Boom. So he was seated in some third, well, we see here at least third row or maybe further behind, but certainly definitely not, right next to Trump, which is kind of weird because check this out. His plane was chasing Trump's plane just on the way to Paris, because he was in DC at Capitol Hill, and Trump was in Mar-a-Lago. And so Musk was literally chasing him across the Atlantic to sit next to him, which certainly did not work out. Now, check this picture out. Cool. Now, this what happened afterwards. Trump used this one of those pictures to promote his Fight, Fight, Fight fragrance. Saying that fragrance your enemies cannot resist, calling certainly, Dr. Biden an enemy, and saying that I guess she couldn't resist him. Questionable, desperate, boring. Yeah. What wasn't boring is this beautiful relationship between Dr. Biden and her daughter, Ashley, who held hands. This was such a wonderful moment. By the way, let's not forget, they went through 4 countries. They started in Italy, then they went to Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and then finally to Paris. And then First Lady landed literally at 4 p.m. Eastern yesterday at Joint Base Andrews, and then rushed to change her clothes and go to the Kennedy honors. So very busy week and weekend. And certainly this was wonderful. Those are very good friends, Brigitte Macron and Jill Biden. So they had some quality time together there as well, which was wonderful to see. Now, you see Musk with, marching and trying to sit next to Trump. But what I want to pay your attention to is this guy. You see here in black with his sort of hands on his chest. This is the richest, French billionaire, Bernard Arnault, or Arnault, whatever how you pronounce it. Anyway, he is the richest guy in France, but also sometimes the richest guy in the world. He goes back and forth with Musk. And so he stood discreetly at the back of the cathedral with his sons. Him and his family gave 200 million euros to rebuild Notre Dame. He also convinced L'Oreal family to donate another 200 million euros. And by the way, the renovation cost around 1 billion, but they did not use or had remaining $150 million. And so all the families who donated money said, keep it, you will use it for another day. Now, some people were, let's say, desperate, like for instance, President of Italy, taking pictures with Trump, and probably he doesn't know who she is, but she's excited. She also is a very big fan, or very small fan, you see here, of Musk. And there's a lot of videos guesstimating that they're lovey-dovey or whatever. Let's not dive into that. Now, this is President of Georgia, Salome, and Zurabishvili. So she is the Democratic president of Georgia, right? The one that is being pushed out by this Russian party, which is called Georgia Dream Party. And she was, taking pictures with Musk, saying that she's looking forward to welcoming him to the country and whatnot. So she was seated literally sort of like, let's say 4 p.m. Backwards from Trump, right? So literally in a row behind Trump. She reached out. She said, I'm president of Georgia, to which he said, Georgia, since when states have presidents? Which caused this laughter all around him. And then he turned around to now ex-prime minister of France and said, hello. And the prime minister turned away. So all of that bonanza went down there as well. Okay, so that's about France and Paris. Let me know what you guys think about it. You did call it, Olga, the seating arrangement. Yeah, see? Okay, thank you. We'll go to my little whatever. Musk was stuck with the rest of unwashed bill. Okay. Genuine question, is Elon in love with Trump? I think Elon is in love with himself as much as Trump is in love with himself. So I think that's not the crossover there. Hope Flotus sues Trump for using the image. This was disgusting, honestly. I would at least expect a statement, but I think Biden's are so far like above that, and when they go low, we go high. I don't really expect them to say anything. No. Okay, Lisa, thank you. So this is Bernard Arnault. Okay, oui, merci. Okay, Rosemary says, yeah, she's in love with power and thinks he's the president-elect. Yeah, he paid $277 million. On the day he tweeted that he's not going to spend $1 on any candidate in this election. So, ta-ta. Now, let's talk about Syria. This is serious, and I kind of want to dive into that. So, President Biden yesterday had a speech, and let me show at least a part of the speech to you. Let me pull up the screen real quick. I do have it prepared. So he addressed the nation yesterday. It was about 10 minutes, but I will show you just the beginning at the East Room, or actually Roosevelt Room at the White House. So take a look. Let me play it right away. Here we go.
Good afternoon. A lot happening in the Middle East. After 13 years of civil war in Syria, more than half a century of brutal authoritarian rule by Bashar Assad and his father before him, rebel forces have forced Assad to resign his office and flee the country. We're not sure where he is, but there's word that he's in Moscow. At long last, the Assad regime has fallen. This regime brutalized and tortured and killed literally hundreds of thousands of innocent Syrians. The fall of the regime is a fundamental act of justice. It's a moment of historic opportunity for the long-suffering people of Syria to build a better future for their proud country. It's also a moment of risk and uncertainty. As we all turn to the question of what comes next, the United States will work with our partners and the stakeholders in Syria to help them seize an opportunity to manage the risks. For years, the main backers of Assad have been Iran, Hezbollah, and Russia. But over the last week, their support collapsed, all three of them, because all three of them are far weaker today than they were when I took office. And let's remember why. After Hamas attacked Israel on October the 7th, 2023, when much of the world responded with horror, Iran and its proxies chose to launch a multi-front war against Israel. That was a historic mistake on Iran's part. Today, Iran's main territorial proxy, Hezbollah, is also on its back. Only 12 days ago, I spoke from the Rose Garden about the ceasefire deal in Lebanon, a deal that was only possible because Hezbollah has been badly degraded. Meanwhile, Hamas has been badly degraded as well. Iran's own military capabilities have been weakened.
Okay. So let's dive into this. Brandon, no, Syria is not our ally. Now, Syria has been ruled for over 50 years by the Assad regime. By the recent Assad, the younger one, for 13 years. This is a cold-blooded killer who was putting people in jail. Now they're opening jails. People are underground in bunkers. They're trying to get people out. Innocent women, children, man, anybody who stood against him or spoke against him. This is a brutal regime who used to bomb Aleppo, his own cities, his own citizens, with phosphor bombs. This is just a brutal dictator who's just a piece of garbage that this evil world somehow managed to produce. And so, yes, Syria is liberated from this. Now, what President Biden means here, yes, indeed, because Biden did support Israel, and Israel did bomb strategic targets in Syria and in Iran and in Yemen. Hezbollah is weak. So it cannot support Assad and could not support Assad. Assad was reaching out to Russia, was reaching out to Iran, was reaching out to Hezbollah, Hamas. Come on, guys, help me. The rumor is he was even reaching out to the United States saying, save my regime and I will denounce my relation to Hezbollah, which obviously US did not pick up. But US did secretly communicate with the rebels, right? So now what we need to understand what President Biden means here, Hezbollah is weakened because Iran is weakened. Israel bombed the strategic targets that Iran at this point, and this was confirmed by the senior administration official from Biden administration yesterday. I was on this call where he said Iran at this point in time cannot produce missiles because every factory was bombed. Now, kudos to Israel for doing it. Of course, with US support and strategic support and missiles and, all of it. Now, we need to understand that Syria is has one of the biggest gas resources. So Russia did build multiple military bases across Syria, which then they decided they cannot support Assad because they're losing folks in Ukraine. They're losing also missiles. They're begging North Korea for missiles. They're begging Iran and China for help for drones and missiles again, and chips and all kind of intel. So they could not support Assad. What they could do is let him come to Moscow. And yes, he was in Four Seasons hotel across Kremlin a week ago. Hence this rumored interview with Tucker Carlson, who was there at the same hotel at the same time, recording interviews with Lavrov, the foreign minister of Russia. And so now what do we have? The rebels are Turkish backed. They're backed up by Turkey. The problem is that one regime is out, who's going to come instead, right? Syria is not a country that ever lived in democracy. We need to point it out. This reminds me on, let's say, Lebanon, because I remember when, when Gaddafi was taking over. I was at the UN. I was at the Security Council overnight. We watched a live stream, how Gaddafi was taken down, how he was killed, how they raped him and dragged his dead body across the streets and all that kind of stuff. I saw it. We also saw what happens afterwards. And so the question is now, this is the time of uncertainty and yes, opportunity. So who's going to take over? Is it going to be ISIS, right? Because the rebels, officially, they denounced their affiliation with ISIS. But if you look deep into it, some of them are leaders of Al-Qaeda. So is it going to be Taliban type of Afghanistan situation where women are nothing and it's a very strong regime, right, against its own nation? Or will it be, let's say, Turkish-backed or Kurdish? Who knows what this constellation of that new government will be? Now, to prevent ISIS from coming into power, CENTCOM, so U.S. Central Command Forces, yesterday conducted 75 precision airstrikes targeting known ISIS camps and operatives in central Syria. So this knocked out ISIS, at least for the beginning, from taking over power. Now, what we also saw yesterday, and let me read out, by the way, the full readout of everything in detail, so you can dive deep, is in your email. It's already ready to go out this afternoon. So your actual news email, the newsletter, which is free Mondays, come on, read, dive into it so you can dive in and digest. So National Security Advisor yesterday said that significant strike, quite successful to ensure ISIS cannot take advantage of the situation. Now, what do I have about Israel? So it was also reported that IDF, which is Israeli forces, were bombing Damascus yesterday after it has been freed from Assad regime. Why do they do it? They want to play a role trying to affect the formation of new government. Certainly they share borders. They want to have a say, right? If Hezbollah were to come to power, or ISIS or Al-Qaeda, it's not of Israel's interest, right? Because it's a direct threat. So the Israeli army also has moved in and taken the peak of Mount Hermon in the Golan Heights. And this is sort of the standing at 2,814 meters, which is 9,232 feet above sea level. It's the tallest mountain in Syria and Israel. So the peak is in the UNDOF buffer zone guarded by UN soldiers since 1974. Syrian rebels attacked UN forces in the area yesterday, and Israel had to come to their defense. So Israel defended, at this point, did defend UN forces, but certainly it's in their interest, not to invade Syria, but have a say, right? Because if you're strong, then your opinion will be considered. Now, what we need to also understand that, yes, the rebels were sponsored by Turkey. And Turkey had a very vivid celebration in Istanbul. And this talk of rebuilding Ottoman Empire has been getting louder and louder since last month, and specifically weeks. For instance, on television in Turkey, they presented the maps of the new Turkey, right, which certainly would include Syria. So they're trying to rebuild, or at least Erdogan, which is sort of a dictator too, was trying to rebuild this Ottoman Empire. Now, the question is, Turkey is part of NATO. So yes, if Turkey were to take over Syria, NATO is not going to be involved because they're pretty much going against anything NATO stands for. Now, what if Turkey is getting into Syria and then let's say Iran bombs Turkey just to stop them? Will Article 5 be coming into force or not? Now, experts say no, as far as I asked yesterday. In my opinion, remains to be seen. Right? Because Turkey has one of the strongest armies within NATO, and NATO is a defense alliance. So we have to see who is going to come up to power. Good news, Russia is weak. Assad is gone. People are being freed from the jails. They're pouring across the border from Lebanon. Hundreds of thousands of people are storming. They're returning home. They're celebrating. They're free. And certainly they deserve to celebrate. And kudos to everybody and God bless. My question is, what will be next? Who's going to come into power? Or what will this constellation of the new government be? Right? Again, players are Iran, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Turkey, so who is going to be the one at lead, right? So the question remains, how will the future leadership look like and what will be their agenda, which is really, really important. But again, good news, Russia is off the table, at least for now. What do I have next? So here's a readout, by the way. I spoke about Turkey, and mass media is not talking about Turkey, by the way. But here's a readout. Overnight, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, our Secretary of Defense, called Turkish Minister of National Defense Yaşar Güler. Here's a readout. Secretary of Defense Austin spoke by phone today with Turkish Minister of National Defense to discuss developments in Syria. Secretary Austin emphasized that the United States is watching closely the statements and actions of the various opposition groups in Syria. Both he and Minister Güler agreed that these groups must take steps to protect civilians, including ethnic and religious minorities. Here's the talk is about Christians, because none of those rebels groups or Turkey is fond of Christians here, right? So Austin and Minister Güler both reaffirmed the importance of close coordination between the United States and Turkey to prevent further escalation of an already volatile situation, as well as to avoid any risk to U.S. forces. We have about 2,000 forces there, and partners, and the defeat ISIS mission. The secretary acknowledged Turkey's legitimate security concerns and discussed the risks posed by ISIS and other malign actors in the region. So again, wait and see. So it's a bit too early to tell what it will be, but I wanted to explain sort of the constellation here. And yes, I faced a lot of harassment because I said, let's be careful celebrating for Syria because we need to see who's going to come up next. Again, they deserve to celebrate. They've suffered so much, and the Assad regime was violent and just evil. And so, yes, they deserve to celebrate, and I'm celebrating with them. I'm just praying for liberated Syria going forward. Okay. So yesterday also Trump spoke, well, at least the interview was released on Meet the Press. So usual gaslighting on peace through tariffs, caravans at the borders leading to mass deportations. Meanwhile, he claimed not to go back and have success through strength. Here are some videos that I want to show you to never show you again. Okay. So here's one video on tariffs becoming essentially a tax. Take a look.
I want to delve into one of your signature promises on the campaign trail, which was to end inflation, to lower prices. You are now proposing tariffs against the United States' three biggest trading partners. Economists of all stripes say that ultimately consumers pay the price of tariffs.
I don't believe
Can
it.
you guarantee American families won't pay more?
I can't guarantee anything. I can't guarantee tomorrow. But I can say that if you look at just pre-COVID, we had the greatest economy in the history of our country. And I had a lot of...
So just to repeat, I don't believe that the tariffs will lead to raising prices. But then will you commit that the prices will stay the same, although he claims prices are through the roof? And the eggs, remember the eggs. That's why he's there, for the eggs. No, he will not promise you anything. He can't promise you tomorrow. What are you, crazy? Next, 2020 election.
Sir, I don't have to tell you this because you've talked about it. It comes at a time when the country is deeply divided. And now you're going to be leading this country for the next 4 years. For the sake of unifying this country, will you concede the 2020 election and turn the page on that chapter?
No. No, why would I do that? But let me just tell you,
You
when
won't
you
ever
say the country is deeply divided, I'm not the president. Joe Biden's the president.
But you're going to be the president.
No, I'm not the president. So when you say it's deeply divided, I agree. But Biden's the president, I'm not.
Who divided the country? Come on. I'm not surprised about Trump and, him trying to prosecute people and declare 2020 election illegal and then essentially claim that Biden was a legitimate president. This is what their press releases say on the daily. My question is about NBC. How involved are you guys? Why are you raising this question? We're 22 days away from 2025. He won the next election. Why are you asking him if he's going to concede? Are you part of that messaging? Were you instructed to give him platform to announce this stuff and legitimize it and then say, listen, I was always warning you guys. Here, I was on Meet the Press. I spoke about it. Of course I'm doing this. Are you part of it? Because it seems like you are. Now, Liz Cheney issued a statement yesterday. Here we go. Is it? No. Okay, here's the one. Let me open up on my end. She pretty much commented on everything he said here. She says, here's the truth. Donald Trump attempted to overturn 2020 presidential election and seize power. He mobilized an angry mob and sent them to United States Capitol, where they attacked police officers, invaded the building, and halted the official counting of electoral votes. Trump watched on television as police officers were brutally beaten, blah, blah, blah. Then, this was the worst breach of our Constitution by any president in our nation's history. Donald Trump's suggestion that members of Congress who later investigated his illegal and unconstitutional actions should be jailed is a continuation of his assault on the rule of law and the foundation of our republic. Certainly, that does explain why President Biden is considering those blank pardons, including Adam Schiff, who's been targeted openly by Trump and named in a bunch of statements. Remember, Shifty Schiff, read reference, and of course, Liz Cheney. So, then he commented on Ukraine. Take a look.
Should Ukraine prepare for less aid from the United States after you're sworn into office?
Yeah, probably. Sure.
Possibly, probably, sure. And then this is a brain peep. This goes really against the Constitution and the 14th Amendment. He commented on the birthright and how he plans to overturn it with executive action.
Let me ask you, about some of your other promises on this topic. You've
Okay.
promised to end birthright citizenship on day one. Is that still your plan?
Yeah, absolutely.
The 14th Amendment, though, says that, quote, all persons born in the United States are citizens. Can you get around the 14th Amendment with an
Well, we're going to
executive
have to
action?
get a change. We'll maybe have to go back to the people, but we have to end it. We're the only country that has it.
Through an executive action?
You know,
you're
we're
gonna
the only country that has it. Do you know, if somebody sets a foot, just a foot, 1 foot, you don't need two, on our land, congratulations, you are now a citizen of the United States of America.
Okay, Sir Trump, Sir President-elect, when you were born, you came out of your mama, and you set 1 foot, you didn't even need two, on, I'd say, a bed or blanket or floor at some point of that hospital in Jamaica, Queens. At that point, you became a citizen. Congratulations. None of us. I'm a citizen. I did not cross a border and congratulations, you're a citizen. Hell no. But we have a fundamental right, a birthright, that anybody who is born in the United States or is naturalized is therefore United States citizen and a resident and citizen of that particular state where they reside. So executive action? So we're going against the Constitution? For this matter, Barron Trump would be considered a question mark. Perhaps J.D. Vance's kids. What will be the condition for kids not to become citizens? Will they need to have both parents being citizens? You know, so then what? Barack Obama and Kamala Harris will come into question? What are we talking about? And then he stated that, yes, he won on groceries.
I won on two things, the border, and more than immigration. You know, they like to say immigration. I break it down more to the border, but I won on the border, and I won on groceries. It's a very simple word, groceries. Like almost, you know, who uses the word? I started using the word, the groceries. When you buy apples, when you buy bacon, when you buy eggs, they would double and triple the price over a short period of time. And I won an election based on that. We're going to bring those prices way down.
I want to pause here because
So now it's no longer eggs, it's bacon and apples. So then he announced that RFK Jr. will investigate the link between vaccines and autism as the head of the HHS. Now, NBC's Kristen Welker asked if Trump wants childhood vaccines to be eliminated, to which Trump said, quote, if they're dangerous for the children. If you take a look at autism, you go back 25 years, autism was almost non-existent. It was, you know, 1 of the 100,000, and now it's close to 1 out of 100. Something is going on. I don't know if it's vaccines. Maybe it's chlorine in the water, right? People are looking at a lot of different things. I want them to look at everything. Let's look at those two kids. So here's a kid on the left who was not vaccinated, and on the right who is vaccinated, and they both have smallpox. And the one on the right, no. Vaccines did not prevent him from not getting the infection, but he had about 2 of those pox. And the kid on the left certainly is not doing well. Ukraine. So more aid for Ukraine was announced by President Biden during the entire theater at Notre Dame. This is the release. And so Department of Defense announced a significant new security assistance package to ensure Ukraine has the tools it needs to prevail in its fight against Russian aggression. So the security assistance package commits to an additional $988 million in support through the Ukraine Security Assistance Initiative. So that will provide Ukraine with munitions for rocket systems and unmanned aerial systems, drones. This package also includes support for maintenance and repair programs to help Ukraine reconstitute its forces and build and sustain combat power. So again, the question is, will it get out of the door before Trump comes in? Which again remains to be seen, but certainly the notion is there. So quickly about South Korea, I'm deeply sorry, said South Korea president, apologizing for declaring martial law in the middle of the night. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol apologized in his first public address since his abortive attempt to impose martial law that threw the country into political chaos and led to calls for his impeachment. Now, his party is silent. His party is not in favor of impeaching him. The maximum thing he got is he will not be able to leave the country. So he avoided conviction, and his party had not issued any statement. And then lastly, on Romania, you know how tall or how small Putin is? Remember the guy in Romania who won through TikTok, where their Romanian Constitutional Court overturned the election. They're going to start from scratch, and he's banned from running because of his affiliation to Russia. So after failing, to the beat of Romanian government, the guy that Russians tried to install into Romania's presidency called for people to march on the streets. And so only 8 reporters showed up, and check out how tall this guy is. Ta-ti-ta-ta. Looks like he is even smaller than Putin. And those are 8 reporters, if you count the mics, who did show up and, were there to answer the call. And that's it for my morning news. Sarah, good morning. Good morning, Sarah. It's infuriating, this thing about vaccines. RFK Jr. contributed to death, and it has other implications. The debunked link with autism he wants to revive, and this would lead to go back to stigma. Exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely. And Bonnie, hey, Bonnie, good morning. And Bonnie would know, no, it's not vaccines. The story was debunked. Exactly. Exactly. Yes, absolutely. Princess Tatiana, good morning. Good morning. Seriously, we have 2 billionaires trying just desperately to stay out of prison, and Russia's Ukraine NATO strategy at stake. Media does not emphasize this aspect, perhaps to maintain faith in the election. Yeah, but also, they try to score interviews. They try to stay relevant. They try not to be persecuted. And, there's a big kind of like misinformation that is rolling around that somehow NATO will prohibit Trump from being inaugurated and all that kind of stuff. Whatever floats anybody's boat, I just can speak for myself that I don't see factually anything being done to, it's rather every single part of government tries to have peaceful, transition of power. My question is that it's really infuriating is a good word. Rosie Marie, yes, you stated it's infuriating. It's a good word to describe that this peaceful transition of power is at the cost of Democrats, right? It's only peaceful because Democrats are not willing to ask questions or make it difficult, right? So for this reason, we'll see. Lisa says, Jesus, Olga, it's the longest morning show you've had. And, I wanted them to be longer, but I got shit to do. Okay. All right. Well, Lisa, run to Notre Dame, snap some pictures. We're going to put them up here for the PM actual news. Would love to share anything you may share with us from the first mass at the cathedral. And again, guys, I wish you a wonderful day. Thank you for being here. Keep your head on a swivel. Keep it peaceful. Again, one step at a time, consume actual news, be very mindful as to what you consume in terms of information, right? Because we're so worried what we eat, but we're not as much worried what we eat here, right? What we put here, because that's nurture, and that what we consume is the information that ultimately builds our opinion and contributes to our psyche or, anxiety. Okay, so again, thank you for joining. Have a peaceful day. See you tonight for the PM actual news. Thank you for being here.